what happens when you work the night shift. You work the night shift, you can't damn sleep. Now I thought about something. I was thinking about something real hard. I'm just curious. Yes, curiosity killed the cat. What is your biggest fear? I never really thought about that. I know everybody has like a natural fear of things, right? Like when it comes to finances or when it comes to certain things. But I always wonder, what is your biggest fear? That is a good question. Is it the earth blowing up? Is it drowning, being set on fire? Is it spiders? Some people are afraid of spiders and shit. Spiders, snakes, dogs, I don't know, wolves, the legend of Bigfoot, Dracula. Is it ants? I don't know, bees. Death by a thousand paper cuts. That's a good one. That's a good one, Marv. But, you know, I thought about this, but I would say, one biggest fear of mine, I would say, if I had to do a top five, number five would definitely be death by drowning. That would suck. Like being in a trap car or something and you couldn't really get out and the water's coming in. That would suck. I would say that that's one. Um, Number two, death by fire. That would suck. Number three, if you were stuck in a freezer and you couldn't get out, that would freaking suck. Number four, I would have to say my fourth one would be, let's see, if you fell down a 500-foot cliff or 1,000-foot cliff. That would suck, right? That would definitely suck. A lot of people have different types of fears, you know? Hey, whoever that is commenting. But I would say that I have probably. Oh, how's it going? There's probably one fear that I do have. I'll tell you what's my biggest fear. It's not death by drowning. It's not, being set on fire. It's not being stuck in a freezer. Or it's not falling off a cliff, right? Um, I would say there's probably one fear that I do have. Don't ask me why. It's the weirdest fear of all. First, in the comment section, before I say what my biggest fear is, um, what's y'all's biggest fear? Do y'all have a fear? Anything? Do some of y'all fear anything? Yeah, maybe, I don't know. To me, I have an obsession with the afterlife. Well, not really the afterlife. Okay, let me take that back. I have an obsession with are we alone in the universe, right? So is there um anything outside of, planet Earth? And I know this is a very debatable topic because, well, some people think, we're alone in the universe and some people think we're not. I believe that, we're not alone. I just think that space is too big for there not to be something. I mean, not necessarily human but it could be some sort of extraterrestrial life form. Any sort of different types of yeah, if that's the way you want to put into there. Not happy family, whatever. Doesn't matter until we can connect to other life. Well, I mean, that is true. Yeah. But I was asked this question earlier when I was at Bogies. Like, what is your biggest fear? And I never really thought about that. But I like came home, did the NBA video, and I sat and I thought about this really hard. There's one fear that I actually do have, and I don't know why I fear this, but it's weird because I've always thought that it was possible, highly unlikely. Um, okay, I'm gonna ask you guys this. Have you ever okay, have you ever like laid down outside at night? That's kind of an odd question, whether you're like in a balcony or something or backyard, maybe like you're kind of like laying down on something. Have you ever looked into space? Like just like stared and focused in the space? Or like let's say you're like me, I like to sit by the lake sometimes when I'm at my auntie's house, and I'll sit there and I'll look because they have like a park there. I've done videos of this before and live streaming. Um, and I'll stare into space and you'll see the beautiful bright stars. Sometimes you'll see a shooting star, and sometimes it'll be just a dark, gloomy night. It's not necessarily, there's no stars there. It's just, you can see it's kind of cloudy. Sometimes it's not, it's just gloomy, you know. No, it has like a purplish tint look, but kind of black at the same time, darkness. Sometimes the moon is out, sometimes the moon is full, sometimes it's half full, sometimes the moon is red, has like a reddish tint behind it, and then sometimes you don't even see the moon at all. It's just like completely gone. Okay, here's the point where I'm getting to this. Have you ever stared into space and you focused really hard, almost to where you're like staring really hard into it, and you almost feel like you're being sucked into it? You ever had that? Have you ever had that feeling? I know I'm not alone on this, but have you ever done that before? Like where you just like you stared into space for so long, you actually feel like you're being sucked into it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes, no. No, no, I'm just saying, like, have y'all ever stared into space? Like, if you stared into to the sky and it gives the illusion that you're floating, if that makes sense. Like you kind of feel like your eyes are magnetized to zoom in. And so you're staring and you're staring and you're staring and you're staring and you feel like you're flying into it. You're being sucked into it. I don't know why, but I always envisioned one day we're just sitting on Earth, we're just chilling, right? And you're sitting there relaxing, thinking it's no big deal. This is another day on Earth, whatever, right? Bad day, good day, semi bad day, semi good day, whatever, right? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Earth's atmosphere just completely collapses. And you would think, okay, well, maybe the air is going to be sucked out, we'll suffocate. Well, not necessarily. The Earth loses gravity and you start floating in the air. I mean, literally floating, but you're not just floating, you continuously keep floating. Like almost, you're like floating into space, if that sort of makes sense. And like people are grabbing on to like street lights or trees or branches, or if you're in your house, you hit the ceiling right there, but you're at least safe. But it sucks because you're on the ceiling, right? So you can like crawl around in your house. I guess that kind of makes sense, but like you can never leave the house. You got to eat, right? So you have to eat, and then you have to have water, right? And you still got to use the bathroom. I mean, you can still manage to do that, but you just never could leave the house. And then anybody who's outside of the house just floats into space. I mean, I mean, I know it's like a crazy like scenario to think, but it's like I always kind of had like envisions of that, like that I'm floating in the space because the Earth's gravity is no longer holding us down, and we just like float into space. That makes sense. I don't know why, but I always feared that. Like, because I'm like, I would look into space and I get freaking creeped out over that shit. And then I would say, damn, I shouldn't be thinking like this. What the fuck? And then I'll start thinking like that and it'll start creeping me the hell out. Have you guys ever did that? Have you ever stared into space, stared into the sky for so long, you literally thought you were being sucked into it? I mean, if you think about it, like, I know it's kind of crazy to think that, but I just always envision it like that. I'm being sucked into space. See, somebody hit the like button, so that obviously means I'm not the only one. Floating rock is fucking insane. Yeah, man. And like I said, it I know it sounds crazy, but just imagine like one day the Earth's atmosphere is no longer there and you're just like floating in space, dude. It's like the weirdest shit ever. Like I've always envisioned that. It's just crazy. I never really thought about that. You know, like I mean, I've always wondered it but never thought about it. For some odd reason, I always wanted to be an astronaut, but I never got to obviously accomplish that. But you know, like Elon Musk and all them, they fly into space or they'll get to the Earth's atmosphere. Because I don't really think they go into space. I think they're so full of shit. But I think they'll get close to the Earth's atmosphere to where like they're kind of borderline at space, but not necessarily. And then they'll kind of like go back, or whatever. And then they'll say, "Oh, I went to space," and I'm like, "Well, not necessarily, because you didn't fly out of the Earth's atmosphere." It's just so full of shit when these guys say that. And but what I will say is that um maybe I might say a ghost story, but I'll tell you this though. I've always wanted to fly on the moon, like to get on a spaceship and fly right to the goddamn moon and do a 2 week adventure. And actually, but my fear is that I get stuck in there and that we don't have any fuel to get back, or we get stuck in the moon's orbit, and then we have to have somebody come rescue us. I mean, just imagine like the fear that would, or the anxiety that would build on that. You know, having to sit and wait, and it is. I don't know. It's just I always think about the stupidest stuff. I don't know why. Just do I have a ghost story? Well, when I was in Dallas, we went to Gaston Avenue, and Haley Gaston was which was the name after the road. And the rumor was, and there's always so many different versions of the story. You can actually go on YouTube and type Haley Gaston, Dallas, Texas. There's so many rumors to that story. Is that like she was a teenager and they had like this lover's lane sort of ordeal where you meet up with your boyfriend, make out in the car, blah blah blah. This was like a big thing back in the day, not like now where it's like everything's about sex, but like back then everything was more about the romantic side of the things, where like holding hands and kissing was considered like the sex back then. Now it's like that would be considered like a laughable offense to just go on a date and hold hands or whatever. But teach their own. um Apparently the boyfriend she was with, I don't know if he accidentally hit the clutch or something like that, but the car drove into the water, which is at White Rock Lake that I go visit a lot. And the stories are always told that she shows up like soaking wet, and then she asks for a ride, and then you go give her a ride to her mom's house, and then apparently like you'll go knock on the door, and then she's not in the car. And this was like back in the 20s and the 30s, so this was like a long time ago. But Travis Staley told me the story, and he had a better like version of it. But you can go on YouTube and look this up. It'll tell you, it'll give you more definitive breakdown of the story. But apparently, like still to this day, she walks those roads, and we went on Gaston Avenue actually in one of our trips to Dallas. I think it was back in 2022, and we were walking down the trails late at night. Me and Travis were, and then we drove down Gaston Avenue and just sat there and like parked at different spots. Maybe we'd see her. We didn't see anything necessarily, but again, it's it's a nice ghost story. You know, um, I've never really, I don't believe I've seen a ghost, but I've seen mirages and stuff like that. What would appear to be some sort of abnormal lighting. I think I saw that when I was at the Ben Hod Cemetery. On the Ben Hod Cemetery trails over there at the park, I'll never forget. It was about maybe 3 years ago, and I was walking on a trail late at night, and this is when I was real obsessed in hiking, and I was doing it every day. Just I wish I would never had stopped, but I was at Cullinan Park over here in Sugarland, and was walking the trails. Took a hike, took a detour down that hiking trail, and I remember I passed the cemetery. Everything was okay. I kept going and going, and then when I hit the bridge, I saw like a light. It looked like some sort of flash, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I remember I was live streaming that day because a lot of people on live stream saw it. Too bad I deleted that video, but I saw a flash and then it appeared again. And then when I walked forward, I didn't see anything. So that was like the only thing I think close to like a ghost that I would, if assuming it was, that would be the closest thing to some sort of aberration or abnormality would probably be that flash that I saw. Wasn't necessarily of a figure, but more so of a flash of some sort of a lighting, or maybe I don't know, maybe my eyes were deceiving me, you know. Uh my eyes were playing tricks on me. I don't know, it could be something with the lighting, I don't know, but it did a damn good job of alerting me, I'll tell you that. But I've never seen a ghost, but I've had people tell me they've seen, ghosts and shit like that. I'm not really I don't say I'm a believer of the afterlife, but I will say that I do think our energy transfers somewhere, if that makes sense. I mean, if that's humanly possible. Um, I mean, it would be pretty cool if we could actually knew what the afterlife was like prior to when we get there. So maybe like it feels like, okay, well, maybe we have time to prepare. But then again, if you kind of knew where you were going, maybe it would put more fear into you. So it's kind of like you fear what you think might happen, and then there's always the fear of the unknown. So then it's like, well, you fear the unknown because it's like, well, shit, where am I going? And that becomes a fear. But it's like, would I rather fear the unknown, or would I rather fear of what I would know and try to prevent it? It's like always that kind of case, you know? Yeah, I've always wanted to, scariest moment of your life. Um, hmm. Scariest moment of life. I had a heat stroke when I was like maybe about 18. And then I tore my Achilles in sixth grade. Couldn't walk on it for fucking 3 hours, and was out in the cold weather, and it was extremely cold during the winter. And my friend didn't, we were in sixth grade, and my friend didn't, his mom wasn't home at the time, so I had to sit there and fucking wait till she got home. Tore my Achilles. So I kind of understand what Jason Tatum's going through right now, and Damian Lillard. Shit sucks. You know? Um, but everybody has certain fears. Like, mine is, of course, drowning or death by fire. I mean, those are obvious. I think most people would fear that. Mine's always being sucked into space. I don't know why. I always have this envision that planets collide, or the sun, or the earth gets too close to the sun, or the earth falls off its orbit and it just starts floating around in space. I mean, that would be scary if, like, I mean, just imagine, like, the panic would say if, like, oh, earth lost its orbit with the sun and it's just floating further away, and you're like, wait, what? I mean, that was shit would scare the shit out of you. Or if it was like, well, no, wait a minute, it's not going away, it's going closer to the sun. Then you're like, oh shit, it's even worse. It's like no matter what direction you go, you fear it, You know, I don't know. It's just a crazy hunch. It's like we're kind of like small ants on a magnifying glass, just waiting for God to just burn us, right? But cave obstruction. You know what? The ocean scares me. Obstruction. Okay, I have a fear of heights, right? But I also have a fear of being underwater for so long. So let me ask you this, and you had to pick one, right? Would you rather go in a submarine under the deepest ocean depths for 24 hours, right? In a submarine, or would you rather be in a plane and go skydiving, like be in the air skydiving? And I'm scared of both, right? So that's a really hard one because it's like you stare down and you see the clouds and it looks like a fucking Google map of fucking Earth from where you're standing, so high in the goddamn sky. And you're like, well, shit, I don't want to jump out of the fucking plane. But then again, you could be underwater in a submarine at the ocean's depth for 24 hours. And, you're in, you get this anxiety because you're like, well, what if the fucking, the water pressure, gets to the submarine and I can't get up? And it's like, then you have that fear. So it's like, well, damn, I'm too low, but damn, I'm too high, you know? So, like, which one do I do? Probably the plane. I ain't gonna lie, I probably would risk and do the plane. Fuck it. Then rather be under the ocean, you know? Now, it's just, I don't know. I tend to contemplate things in my mind at times, just think about shit. Because to me, it put my mind at ease. It does a lot. Just imagine, again, it's just being underwater or being extremely high in the air. And TTC Savior, did you just say it's getting eaten by a shark? Ouch. Did you just say your biggest fear, a girl who truly doesn't love or care for me? Happy family with her. Ah, I think after a while, see, I've been there, done that, man. I've dated tons of women and I've had my fair share, man. I think after a while, it just doesn't bother you anymore. You tend to kind of be more at peace with yourself rather than, trying to stress over that, if that kind of makes sense. Finding inner peace is what matters the most, at least to me, you know. I tend not to let stuff like that get to me anymore. I think maybe it's more of a mindset, you know. Because people will stress you out. People will do things, especially like in the workplace or like in group settings. There's always going to be people that are going to test you. They're going to like say things and do things to try to push your buttons. It's like I look at it like this. It's like, especially at work, it's kind of like this at times. It's like, short staffed. It's already stressful enough, and then you got people that'll try to like gossip, or they'll try to steal whatever little joy you have away. And I see this happens a lot at work. Like, it not much when I was in security, because security guards don't work together, but in the profession I work in now, it's like that. And I try not to let it bother me, even though it kind of does, because you're kind of like stuck in a cubicle with these fuckers for 8 16-hour shifts. I try not to let them get to me anymore, because it's just like, I look at it like this: if I don't like fuck with these people outside of work, then why am I letting it affect my life? Now, of course, you're going to be seeing them over and over and over again, but I think after a while, you just stop caring. You're just like, whatever, whatever you say is correct. And just I mean, because at that point, you just want anything to just have a peaceful mind. You just kind of look at it like that. And then you just go about your business. Just say, fuck the rest, you know? Now, if it's your like close personal friends and or family, that, I can understand how that kind of would draw a little bit more heat because these people you probably have more of like a closer bond with. But if it's just like coworkers, yeah, I ain't even worried about. I don't even let it stress me no more. I just let them do whatever they want, and I just, as long as I go to work on time, do my job, it's all that matters. And I just clock out and go home. And I'll take you 100% correct. Yeah, I'll take the air if your submarine collapses underwater. There's nothing left of your body. At least in the air, you can still see your faith. Yeah. If you were the mayor of the Houston, what would you change? Um, I cut property taxes right off the bat. That'd be my number one priority was to cut property taxes. You know, it's like the idea that like if you pay your house off, you shouldn't have to pay fucking property taxes, and you definitely shouldn't have to pay property taxes while you're paying for your. It doesn't make any sense. Property taxes is a scam. It's the biggest scam. Why the fuck should we have to pay for a piece of property you already own? But I mean, if you own it and it's paid off, even if it's not paid off, like why are you paying a tax on a piece of land you already fucking own? I never understood that. Property tax is the biggest scam besides the income tax and the state tax. All these added taxes is what's killing the country. It's not the reason why the inflation is bad as it is because of the fact that the taxes are so goddamn high. So then you have to raise the wages and all the fucking salaries to fucking match the rising cost of taxes, and it just never ends because the taxes just keep going up, and so you have to keep raising the wages to subsidize that, and everybody loses out because then you just deflate the fucking dollar. The dollar's just losing value. And now, if you were to say, you know what, let's not raise the wages, let's go ahead and cut the property tax, let's cut the sales tax and the state tax, and institute that in flat tax at 8%, then sure, we wouldn't be taking in as many taxes, but you'd be saving a lot. Let's go ahead and cut the overtime tax while we're at it. You know. And so you cut the overtime tax, that'll save you 60% right there, or 40% right there, because you're taking 40% out of my taxes just for overtime. So you cut all these taxes, then there's no need to have to continuously having to raise wages every couple months, it seems like. Because then it stimulates the dollar, it eases the economy. When you're sucking taxes out of the fucking dollar so much, then you have to people are at the front lines, the picket line saying, I want to raise. Well, you lose both because not only you have to raise the product services for those wages, but now you have the taxes going up. So now you have to raise the wages. So it's just like it's a lose-lose. You know? It's just that's a side rant, from this video. But yeah, the taxes is what's killing this country. And if you cut the property taxes, you never have to lose your home. So that's a very good thing. Yeah, and then you can always do upgrades on your house, and then it can raise your property value, and you still don't have to pay that property tax. So if I was mayor of Houston, I'd cut property taxes in the city of Houston. I know it'd be easier said than done, but I'd be fighting for it every day. That's what I would do. If I were governor of Texas, I'd do the same thing. If I were president, I'd make it a national-wide crisis to cut property taxes. Absolutely, right off the bat. I wouldn't even hesitate. You know? But that's just all side politic bullshit, right? I mean, nobody... Well, what do I know? You know? Right? Or I'll tell you what's another fear. If this dollar collapses, which that's what everybody kind of thinks this happened, then food and water is going to be your main essentials, not the dollar. Sure, you'll have the gold and the silver for trade, ammunition for trade, but food and water is going to be your main essentials. So when the dollar collapses, so like if you look at the way like the current money system is right now, what everyone is doing, it seems like, is that everyone is trying to suck up as much money as they can so that when a dollar collapses, you hope to survive and that you transfer that money over to some sort of digital currency, whether it's Bitcoin or some sort of digital currency, whatever that may be. It seems like that's sort of where we're at. That's what you're seeing now. It's sort of sped up, you know. It's there's that too. There's also the economical factors, right? Are we still going to be? Are we going to be on the bread lines, and wait for the trucks to come and bring that bread, that food, and that water in? Are they going to have us begging for it? I don't know. Like it's definitely, the times we're living in now definitely is, and to me the fear of the unknown also can be a fear in itself. Like, are we, is the dollar going to collapse in 5 years? Are we going to be 80% of us going to be unemployed because AI and the robots? Do the robots gain a mind of its own like iRobot? Do we become like the Men in Black and shit? Now we're gonna be like Will Smith walking around having to slap everyone around. What's going on here? You know, do the aliens take over like the movie Mars Attacks? You guys ever seen the movie Mars Attacks? What if some shit like that happens? It's just like the fear of the unknown. And then, then there's the fear of like, well, am I going to be alive in 10 years? Am I going to be alive in 20 years? There's always that too. Then there's like, in the afterlife, am I going to be spending the next fucking 30 million years fucking burning? Or am I going to be in the pearly gates? There's always that fear too. Everyone thinks they're going to heaven. Like you ask anyone, will everyone be going to heaven? Everyone thinks they're going here. No one believes they're going to hell, but we really don't know that, do we? We really can't definitively say that we know for sure if we're going to heaven or not. And I'm no Bible expert. I'm not going to sit here or no Bible scholar. I'm not, not telling people to, take me for my word. But we can't say for certain as if we gain entry in those gates or not. We just have to hope that we gain entry, especially through like the crisis and the wars and all this, and the famine and starvation and the way we treat each other. You kind of have to wonder, like, are the gates going to be available for us when that time comes? Because we can sit here and preach all day that we're going to heaven. We really don't know that. Hell, I don't even know that about me. I may not be lined up for heaven. There may be a cold, dark place in hell waiting for me. And I don't even want to laugh because that shit sounds scary thinking about that shit. It's and it's the fear of the unknown. Because you don't know where you're going, that even makes it more anxious. And then you wonder, well, all your loved ones in the past, right? They all died, right? Both of my grandparents on both the sides of my family already died. So are they in heaven? What are they doing? What's it like? What's that process like? I mean, there's that as well. Jobs will not exist, probably. AI could take over the desk jobs and robots could take over the labor jobs. Yeah, absolutely. Just saying, Life always throws you a curveball, I guess. But yeah, there's always this fear, right? Is World War III going to break out? That's another one. Are we going to go to war? Is United States, China, Russia heading for a war? There's that fear too. Are they going to pose a draft? Are they going to pose martial law? It's just, if AI takes over and all these jobs are wiped out, are we going to see a worldwide mass, panic? You know? Yeah, pass the whiskey, Andrew. I agree. There's over 5,000 religions around the world. You got your main ones, and you got all these like side. Then you got like breakdowns of certain religions. They have like a whole breakdown of it, of different side beliefs, right? So you got all these rituals and all this stuff like voodoo and cannibalism. Some people believe in certain religions. Some tribes believe in ancient 4 or 5 thousand year old testament, and you know that's why I say it's you got 5,000 people telling you 5,000 different versions of what the afterlife is, and sometimes you ask yourself, well, shit, well, which one is the right one? Which one's the right one? And then you got the group of people that don't believe in God at all, which those are atheists, which is like less than 5% of the world, but they'll go and tell you, well, they're all wrong because there is nothing. It's just it's what do they call it, the Big Bang Theory or whatever, and we evolved from monkeys, and this is all bullshit about the whole afterlife bullshit. There's going to be that too. You're always going to have that side of the spectrum too. All right, the fear of the unknown, I think, is to me is another one, right? Because like everyone says, oh, by 2050 I'll be this age, or but then you really don't know if you're going to live that long. I mean, it's always easier said than done, right? And there's the fear of the unknown is like, well, you can't really say for certain you'll be around till 2050 or 2070 or 2090. You know, there's always that fear. You know, what's it like? It's crazy. Like one day you're here, next day you're gone. I never kind of crazy thinking about it. I guess you know life in general goes by really fast. I mean, if you really like think about it, it does, and it just goes by. The months, days, flies. Just think of all these people that walk in and out of your life. You probably met at least 20,000 people in your life. Like if you don't include the television, I mean, like just like face to face interactions. Even if you didn't necessarily had an interaction, but you might have walked past them. You're at the mall or whatever, at an event. You probably all these people come in and out of your life, friends, exes, all this shit. It just is this continuation of you know, it's a continuation of just life just going by. So like me, I've been on YouTube for a long time, bro. I've been on YouTube since I was in fucking high school, bro. And I can tell you this right now, real talk, that since I been on YouTube, I can tell you I've seen so many different faces on here, so many different people come and go. I've even had YouTubers die that I've known. Personal good friends. Charlie Wolfcow was a good guy. Um, Very good friend of mine. He died from COVID. Craziest thing was I talked to him like literally a week before he died, or about 4 or 5 days before he died. He said he had caught COVID. He left me a voicemail, and I still got that voicemail on my Facebook because it gives you the option where they can send a voice message. And he sent me a voice message, and he was coughing, saying he had COVID. I'll get over it. Blah blah. I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks, then all of a sudden I see a bunch of RIPS on his profile. I said, "What the fuck?" Then he died. That shit is crazy, man. Then you hear, you know, What's those ones in the TTC East Beast of the East, and then the other one, the guy with the glasses, the Panthers fan. Um, I think his name is Bobby, but he had I forgot his YouTube name. God damn it. He was a Panthers fan, and he looked like Mr. Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead. He used to play the guitar every night. He'd be drunk on his ass. I forgot what his name was. God damn it. It's like, I'd be forgetting shit. It's just crazy, man. You just meet a lot of people in your life, you know? And some fade out. Some people just disappear. It's like, go ghost. Like, is this person still alive? Just think from like childhood, all like the kids you meet, and they're all grown up and have families and shit, or in jail or dead, whatever. Like, wow. Like, lot 8 camel toes. There you go. Like, life is just full of surprises, man. There's other TCC guys that died. King Dyke's another one. He had issues with like being his obesity. King Dyke was another one, and there was a couple other guys too. I just have to remember their names. But yeah, man, a lot of people come and go. Like in life in general, it's just like just goes fast, man. BVD, oh yeah, BVD died too. Big Vol Daddy, yeah, he had cancer, I believe, or something like that, or complications from diabetes. I forgot what it was, but yeah, that's unfortunate, man, that he passed away. It's just a cycle of life, I guess. It's Preston Fox. Yeah, that was another one. He killed himself. I heard that his girlfriend like broke up with him, and that he had some like trouble in an apartment complex or something, like he was getting evicted or something. And he came on the live stream like a couple of days before that. I forgot whose live stream it was. That was back when it used to be Google Hangouts. And he was on there just talking like it was normal. And then 2 days later, boom. And he shot himself. That's just crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. It's just all these things just, keep on coming. And, it's just interesting. Even like if you think about it from like, even on the live stream, I've been doing live streaming for like after Google Hangout was pretty much done with. So I've probably been doing Google Hangouts I've been doing live stream for about 5 years now. And even the subscribers, some remain the same, very few. Most of them come and go. You know, it's like, you see this person here, and this person there. It's like, it's never the same people. Like, it's just always different types of people. It's never consistent. You may have like one or two guys that might like kind of stick it out through the ride. Most of them are going to be different. It's going to be like new people replaced by new people, replaced by new people, replaced by new people. This is the same thing like in your dating life. You date this person, it went by great, then it falls flat. Then you date this person, you date for this long, then it falls flat. You date this person, and then it goes on for this long, and then it falls flat. And it's just a repeated offense. You know, it's just I don't know the word that I want to explain for this, but people just come and go out of your life. It's just I kind of realize it's just part of the nature of the beast. You know, like most of your friends, like some of your friends, like you'll have some ride or dies, but like most people are just really acquaintances. They just pass time. It's just a pastime. Dating life, same shit. It's a pastime. You know, it's the middle of the year, and I feel like it's January 2 weeks ago. Absolutely, I agree. Oh, 4 years ago, damn. Just to think that a good friend of mine named Sean Michael Polston, remember the product Prodigal Hill? Me and him used to do live streaming for like fucking 3 years straight. and now I haven't even spoken to him in about a year. Isn't that crazy? Like me and Prodigal, we used to collab and do good videos. Those are all on private, by the way. But we used to do good videos. I mean, I'm talking about like breakdowns of life to like dating life to politics. We used to cover it all, and we used to have so much fun doing that shit. And now that since I got this job in the county, we don't even talk. You know, I don't hate the guy. We just don't talk. Which that's another sort of thing I want to address. Ever since I got this job in the county, people kind of look at you differently. And this is just something I kind of noticed that they look at you like you're a snitch. And it's not anything personal. I get it because it's the whole like law enforcement perspective, even though I'm not a cop. But it's the whole like you work with law enforcement, you work at a jail, blah, 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 you're a snitch, blah, blah, blah. So, like, even though people aren't saying that about you per se, they're thinking it and they're reacting that way when they see you in that uniform or when you tell them that's what you do. They don't look at you the same anymore. The funny thing was I saw something like that in the interview. They were saying like that the main issues with cops are like jailers or correction officers, the word you want to use is that they only form friends with each other and they have a hard time connecting with people outside of their agency. I didn't really believe it at first. I thought it was bullshit, but now I actually believe it. There's so much truth behind it. Because at the end of the day, like nobody really respects law enforcement, and it's not to say that it's right or wrong. Could be both, but nobody really respects law enforcement, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. Um, it's understandable, but when people like know, like, okay, you work here and stuff, they don't view you the same way they used to. It's kind of a weird saying, but they kind of view you as a government lapdog or a government agent. If that makes sense. So they see you as a snitch, informant. It's just natural that comes with the stereotype. And I, I kind of accept it now because it's like, even though I'm not a snitch technically by definition, but I can understand why people would think that. I just tend not to, I tend just to accept it for what it is. You know, is that this just comes with the stereotype of that profession, if that makes sense. And so that's why I say, okay, well, I don't mind hanging out with, certain groups of people or whatever, but I'm just going to have to accept the fact that there may be some people that may view me that way and they may not want to fuck with me after that. And that's understandable, you know? Because I mean, I can get from their perspective. They're like, oh, you're a snitch. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just work at the jail. I'm not a cop, bro. I have to go to the academy for that shit. And I'm not in the best shape to go to the academy. I would say officer is just a security guard paid by the state. That's the best way to explain it, if that makes sense. Back then, people respected law enforcement more than now. Well, yeah, absolutely. It's just that's just the nature of the beast. You know what though? What's crazy is like how fast time goes. I never really thought about this shit, but I'm like, back then I used to thought that like the year 2008 or 2010 or 2012, I used to thought, man, damn, time going by fast. I'm like, man, that shit sounds so ancient now. I mean, think about it. It's 2025, about to be 2026. At the end of the year, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, 2030's right on the corner. Holy fucking shit. Who would have thought that it was going to go by this quick? Have I ever seen crazy shit doing security work? Um, hmm. What have I seen? Not necessarily anything crazy doing security work. I haven't seen anything crazy in security work. 2050 is, yeah. Well, 2030 is right on the corner, bro. 2030 is right around the corner. Absolutely. 2030 is right around the corner. I used to say, what are your New Year's resolutions? Now it's like, I guess just be alive. I moved out of the house late 2030, and I swear to God, I feel like only a year or two at the most. 2013. Oh my bad, I didn't read that right. I was like 2030. What the fuck? Yeah, dude, it's crazy how fast this life goes. It's like, you know, are there ever people in your life that you miss? Oh, absolutely. I miss my grandfather. He's gone. I've had a bunch of friends die over the years. A lot of them. You know, a lot of friends die over the years. I could probably name you like 40 of them. Shit's crazy. And of course, there's going to be more as the years go on. It's just a factor of life. But as life goes fast, sometimes I don't cherish like or count my blessings, I guess, because I'm always, you know, so worried or whatever. But then, you know, I'm still here, still breathing, and still alive, and others aren't around. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how life just goes by so fucking fast. You know, it's like, damn, can you believe the Houston Texans been around for 24 years? I mean, just that's crazy. You know, I lost four family members the past 2 decades and a half. Well, man, I lost a fucking dozen friends. I could probably name you like 40 of them that died. It's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. It's always like full of surprises. Life is always full of like ups and downs. Biggest fear is one day my parents will be gone. I'm at the brace for that day. We're all getting older. It's gonna happen. It's a matter of time. And we always put that in the back of our mind. My grandparents are dead, right? From both sides. So that means one day the parents are gonna be gone. Just think about it. And that day will come. Now, I talked to a bunch of older people about this that are like in their 60s and stuff, and I asked them like, "Is your parents still alive?" Which most of them were like, "No." And I'm like, "How do you brace for that?" Because I just asked for advice. Because when that time comes, I need to know how do you mentally deal with it. They go, "It's just life." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be hard at first, but then you kind of like accept it if that kind of makes sense because that time's coming. You know what I'm saying? So you have to just break. It's just better that you have to brace for it because it's gonna happen regardless whether you like it or not. It's just a factor of life. It's just crazy. You know. And then once your parents are gone, you know what that means. I don't even want to start that conversation yet. And that means we're going to the upper room. It's our turn pretty soon. We're going to be in that conversation. The upper room, you know? It's just, it's just life. It's just, that's it. It's like, I think life was just meant to be full of ups and downs. I think just life is just one, big test, ultimately. That's all it is. Um, yeah, I think the only mistake I think I made in life was that I let my anger get the best of me, and I lost some decent friends over that shit. If I had to take a time to take it back, trust me, I would. But it is what it is. All I can say is now that I think I'm more at peace now at life than I was 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. Absolutely. I think now I'm more at peace. I'm more mellow about it. I just accept things for the way they are. They always say that things happen for a reason. You know, if that makes any sense. Yeah, TCC Savior, I agree. But that day will come, and you understand that when that day comes, you have to deal with it, right? Oh, damn, worse than foot pain. But yeah, that day will come, and we're all just gonna have to deal with it. It's just life, I guess. You know, and once parents die, then it's on us now because it's like, damn, now we're gonna be the old people, and then it's just a factor of life. It's just the wheel, the hamster wheel keeps spinning. If that kind of makes any sense, the hamster wheel just keeps on spinning. This is new people. Just thinking 50 years, 50, how all the houses that are currently there, 95% of them will be new occupants. Will be like, think about it. A new family will be in this house once we all die. Just to think of it like that. You know, like in 50 years, there'll be new people living on our house. So there'll be new YouTubers. There'll be a bunch of the different YouTubers and talking about life and shit. And then I wonder if YouTube's going to keep all of our videos, so that way they can look back in the archives of how it first started and keep all of our videos. Like, see, what I want to do, like, if let's say 10 years from now, right? The doctors come in and say, hey, Rose, you got, you know, stage whatever cancer. You got 6 months to live. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna take all my videos on YouTube and take them off private, even if it gets me fired or canceled, because I have nothing to lose at that point, right? So all my controversial videos will be taken off private, right? All my podcast interviews, all my controversial videos, um, they'll all be on private. I'll take them off private, so that way my videos can be studied for like a couple hundred years by maybe other inspiring YouTubers, so that they can go and look at my content and be like, hey, that was a really good video maker. I wish I was alive when he was around. And then that's it. Yeah, that's the story she wrote. And name one guy back in the day that you would like to meet that died, that you weren't born to see them. Um, well, there is actually one person. I thought about this hard. I've seen a bunch of movies. There's one movie of one person I would have loved to meet. Well, actually, two people that I would have loved to fucking meet. Um, Number one is my favorite actor, Vincent Price. He died in '92, right? Okay. If I had an opportunity to meet him and shake his hand, get his autograph, and get to know him, That's one guy I definitely. If you don't know who Vincent Price is, he did the voice behind the Thriller. He was the guy that was talking, and then he also played in some really good movies. He was a good actor back in like the 40s, the 50s, and 60s, 70s, and then he ended up dying in the 90s. I think he died from cancer, I believe. I want to say he did. But I would have loved to meet Vincent Price. You know, um, I will say that the second person I'd like to meet, and I thought about this one. Yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm not on the you know the other one. Maybe one day we'll do I'll do that that stream with a stream yard, and I'll invite you on. I'll probably set something like that up on Saturday. But sure is that there's one person I'd like to meet. You guys ever seen the movie Glory? Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember that movie. It's like about the Union and Confederate and stuff, like North and South. Well, that movie was based on a true story in Fort Sumter, but Colonel Robert Goldshaw, like I looked him up, read his information and stuff. Matthew Broderick looks like a split image of that guy, like identical, like down to the T, right? And, anyways, so I looked him up, read his information, and got to learn more about the guy. And I said, you know what? Even though he died back in like what was the year 1863, I believe that was the Battle of Fort Sumter. I would have actually loved to take a time machine 100 and fucking 45, 50 years, whatever that would be, and actually meet the guy. He was 23 when he died. He was a young guy. And I'm like, if I could go back in a time machine and meet him, man, that would be great. The 54th Massachusetts, one of the greatest fucking movies of all time. I would have loved to meet him in person. Oh, John Candy. Oh, absolutely. Chris Farley's another one that's good. Good actor. Rest in peace. Never Meet Your Heroes. Well, I don't really necessarily know if that I would classify Robert Goldshaw as a hero, but he inspired me, if that made sense. It's just something about him that I liked a lot. Maybe Matthew Broderick, he's a splitting image of Robert Goldshaw, that colonel from the Union Army of the 54th Massachusetts that led the first Black Regiment. He looks just like him. If you actually go and Google Robert Goldshaw, you'll actually see him like just a split image. Like they picked the actor like right off the bat. Perfect actor for that movie. But yeah, if I had a chance to meet Robert Goldshaw, that would have been great. But he died like 100 and fucking what was it, 100 and like 37 years before I was born or some shit like that. I can't do my math right, but somewhere around there. But yeah, he died in like 18. Oh, you're talking about Chris Farley. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Robert Goldshaw. He died during 1863. That would have been a nice person to meet, you know? Oh, crazy world we live in, right? Oh, he died in 97, Chris Farley. Yeah, John Candy died too. Yeah, that's unfortunate. John Wayne would have been another one I would have loved to meet. This is John Wayne. I'll tell you what movie scared me the most with Clint Eastwood. Y'all know who Clint Eastwood is, right? There's yay, nay. Tell me if y'all know who he is. Well, anyways, you watch old Western movies. There's this one fucking movie that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid with Clint Eastwood. because my dad loves Clint Eastwood, right? So he watches all the Clint Eastwood and John Wayne movies. He watches MeTV a lot, so he watches all the old school Western movies. There's this one movie where like Clint Eastwood was killed at the beginning of the movie, right? And he basically avenges his death or something like that, and has to take over the town again. And then he just like says, "Oh, at the end of the movie, this guy that helped me, he appointed him as marshal." He said, "Well, you're going to be the marshal now. You're going to run this town, right?" So he handed him the marshal like badge, like sheriff's badge, right? And then, all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go now," or something like that. So he gets on the horse and rides off. And then as soon as he rides off, it makes like this weird sound effect, right? Like a scary sound effect, like a creepy sound effect. And then all of a sudden, like you see him sort of disappear. So like the whole movie, he was a freaking ghost. It's crazy, but it scared the fucking living dog shit out of me, man. When I was a kid, I was like, "What the fuck?" Now remember, when I was a kid, this movie was already has been out for fucking decades, but just the principle of the matter. That movie scared the living shit out of me. I don't remember the name of the movie, but it scared the fucking living dog shit out of me. I have to go. Yeah, I don't know the name of the movie. If it's basically John Wayne. I mean, Clint Eastwood was a ghost, and you could type it on YouTube. I'm sure it'll pop up. But like, he was a ghost and died at the very beginning of the movie, and has to avenge his death against these outlaws. So he basically comes back as a ghost, but you don't necessarily know he's a ghost. It's weird until the very end when he rides off on a white horse, and the horse disappears too. Like, he disappears, the horse disappears, and basically it just, I don't know the name of that movie, but it's a really good movie, and it's just scared. The ending just scares the shit out of you. It's like, sends like these chills up your spine. That makes sense. So crazy, just crazy. Thinking about the whole thing just makes your mind just go crazy. Whatever happened to all the old women that used to follow your channel? The old women. Oh, you mean like from back in the day, all the girls that followed me? I don't know. They just all disappeared, man. I do not know what they're doing, where they're at. I have no effing clue. I think I might have chased some of them off. No, my luck. That's one thing I'm good at doing, is chase people off. Christina, I haven't heard from her. Oh, Jesus. Probably. I think the last time I seen her in a comment thread was, I want to say it was New Year's Eve of, I want to say not last year's, but the year before that. It was 2023 going in 2024. I was doing a celebration video because I was, um, and she popped up in my live stream and said hi. She's the one with that black cat in her profile, and I gave her a wrench, and she said, "Hey, a long time no see." I said, "All right, yeah, yeah, how you doing?" And that was the last time she commented. I'd never seen her since. I've been on dozens of live streams. She never came in, unless she's on another sock account I don't know about, which is highly possible. It is possible. Um, Jennifer was another good one. She was a follower of mine back in 2021. And then she just kind of did her own thing and started making her own videos about astrology. And then I think last year she just stopped making videos. And then there was another girl that used to follow me. Her name was like Tara Reading. She used to do like Tara Reading cards. She was kind of hot, man. Sexy little British accent. She was from, I want to say she was from Wales or something like that. And we were cool. And then somebody came in the channel like instigating something. and it pissed her off. And then I guess she thought I was behind it. And I told her I had nothing to do with that shit. Like I don't know who did that. And then she just stopped coming to my channel. I'm like, well, I didn't do that shit. That was the trolls. Because there are trolls that come on my channel. I can't control that shit. I have no control over that. So, I guess they just stopped coming to my channel. And, at first I was like, was it something I said? But I'm like, nah, I don't want to say that. And I'm like, and finally, after a while, you don't even really think about it anymore. I think after all these years, that's like, oh, well, shit happens. You know, it's life. Deal with it. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Just deal with it. William Shakespeare, John Carpenter's The Thing. The kennel scene. Oh, yeah. So that's just a factor of life, dude. It's just, people come and go. And see, that's the point I was making. People come and go. That's just life, dude. And there's no way to explain it. You can't really control it. You can't make people be your friend forever. That's a. That's just. I don't know how else to explain it. I think after a while, you're just kind of at peace with it. Because it's just, if you stress yourself out over it so much, you won't know what else to think. You'll just drive yourself crazy. And that's, sort of how the way I look at things now. If it was meant to be, it was meant to be. And if not, then it wasn't. That's how I look at it. If it was meant to be, it was meant to be. If I sit there worrying about all that shit, I'll never be able to move on. YouTube is just a cesspool for like people coming and going. And you got other platforms too where people leave to. So maybe they're on other people's platforms. I don't know. I mean, I can't really explain it. You know? So why'd you put all your videos to private? Well, let's see. Because you got a bunch of trolls that like to send my videos to my employers trying to get me fired. So why am I going to leave them on public when they're going to continue doing that? That doesn't make any sense. So it's like, well, fine. I'm just going to go ahead and put them to private since, obviously it's an issue, right? So I guess freedom of speech isn't really free anymore. So I'll just put them to private and just make different types of videos, like sports videos, or if I do something like this and word it correctly, then I'm good, you know. But any controversial videos, I gotta set them to private, unfortunately. That's why my politics videos, the same thing, private. I'm just saying, I'm just, kind of throwing that out there. But shout out to the 6 people watching, by the way. I appreciate it. I got 6 likes, 6 people in the chat room. Show me some love. Give me a like. I don't mind having a 4th or 5th like, man. Show me some love. Give me a like. Not ask for much. I don't make no money on this. Just give me a like. Yeah, I wish you can have your videos on private and share them. Yeah. Or you could take them off private and put on what's called unlisted. I used to like YouTube where you used to be able to get inbox messages. It was sort of like what do they call it? Like a dating website almost. Like you used to be able to send inbox messages to each other. So like you'd log on YouTube and it'd say you got 3 inbox messages. And I just thought that was so cool. And then you could actually reply to those. You used to be able to send messages to people. Like now, so you can't really do that on here. You have to like put it on their videos or whatever. So what sucks is let's say like you wanted to exchange numbers with a friend of yours. Well, you can't do it on a live stream, and you definitely can't do it on a comment thread, right? So the only thing you can do is just go to a video that's really old that doesn't have a lot of comments, and then leave the number real quick, and then delete it. So that way, when the person gets it, they can delete the notification. You know, and that's all you can do. And just being honest. And this hot weather, man. This thing it's gonna be in the hundreds now. As you're forgetting, it's the summer. It's gonna be extremely hot. You've always changed things up. Oh, true. Yeah, that is true. You guys ever have those nights where you have a hard time sleeping? Yeah, true, Andrew Harris. YouTube, once upon a time, used to be one of the best sites of all time. YouTubers hated each other, they trolled each other, but we respected each other, at least to a degree. Now it's just all doxing and trying to cancel you and sending your shit to your employer. That's all it is now. It's nothing else. It used to be better than this, you know? I would say probably in 2017 is when you started noticing a significant change. The ad revenue apocalypse, and then after that, the doxing and stuff. So yeah, YouTube's changed a lot over the years. It's not the same like it used to be, which is why I don't stress myself out over it. But yeah, me being sucked into space is definitely YouTube should make a other app. Yeah, right. I wish. I wish. That'll probably never happen. Damn. All right, guys. Well, it's 3:23, and I'm gonna hit the hay. Fucking tired now. And I'll see you guys probably on Saturday. Take care.